Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks' best country, 105.1 The Bull.
Welcome to Beyond the Gate, a podcast sharing the grit, growth, and spirits of rural life. From fields to front porches, this is where the heart of agriculture comes alive. Today we go beyond the gates and into seed production, and not just any ordinary seed, Heirloom, rare seeds with Baker Creek Seed Company. Welcome to the studio, Michelle and Andrew. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks very much for having us.
Well, first of all, I know that you both wear many literal and figurative hats at the farm. So before we dive deep into heirloom seed production and what that means, what hats do you wear on the farm?
Well, I gave myself a job title when I first came to work here in 2018 because I didn't have one. So I started to call myself Media Swiss Army Knife. And it's literally true. If it involves media and it needs doing, I do it. So I do a lot of different things, lots of writing, editing, research, video work, photography, work with the marketing team. I help plan events, you name it, I do it.
Well, maybe I should start asking the question, what knife do you carry instead of like a Swiss Army knife instead of hats? Andrew, same question.
Yeah, I joined the farm back in 2018 as well and came in as just a regular old gardener. And in the last almost 8 years now, I become the senior horticulturalist and help manage the farm with the other farm manager, and we keep the space growing.
Well, Baker Creek Seed is located in Mansfield, Missouri, and just down the road from us here in Springfield. And I live in Lebanon, and I am not born and raised. I'm a transplant in the Lebanon area, but it took several years for me to even know you guys were there. And I think you're just this golden nugget with this a local business with a global impact that sometimes we don't even realize that you're just down the road. So we want to shed light on that. Michelle, you're the chief storyteller for the brand. What is your story? How did you get to Baker Creek? And then let's highlight the history of Baker Creek Seed.
Well, my story, I never saw it coming. Life surprises you and delights you, and things come along in exactly the right moment. I had been for 2+ decades working in newsrooms. And as you know, journalism is a stressful business. And I had reached the end of the road. And I really did not know what I was going to do next, but I knew that it could not be in a newsroom. And so a family member reached out to me about this opportunity at Baker Creek. I had known about it because of my family, and I came down here for the first time in August of 2018 and was absolutely smitten by all of it.
Where would you come down from?
I was in Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. Okay, home Dairyland. I've been there many times with the World Dairy Expo. So, the role that you've played in being that chief storyteller, how do you tell the Baker Creek story? Where does it begin?
It really begins with our founder. It begins with Jere Gettle. And it begins with Jere's story as the child of a homesteading family, very deeply engaged in gardening because that's how
Had to be.
had to be, right? So he grew up gardening. He planted his first garden when he was 3 years old. And he seemed to already have like this preternatural ability to understand seeds and plants, and he was just in love with them. And so the Gettle family moved to the Ozarks when he was 12.
And where did they come from?
They were
Idaho?
He was born in Eastern Oregon.
Okay.
They moved to Montana,
Mm-hmm.
and then when he was 12, they moved to the Missouri Ozarks to near Mansfield. And by then, Jere had really begun to notice that many of the heirloom varieties that he loved so much in the catalogs had begun to disappear.
Mm.
And so he wanted to understand more about that. He joined Seed Savers Exchange, which was an organization founded in the 1970s in Iowa, um, to help connect heirloom um, seed collectors and growers and gardeners with one another to share varieties. He got connected with Seed Savers. He began to grow many of these heirloom varieties on the farm, and pretty soon he just had way too many seeds.
Kind of that hoarding mentality.
Yeah.
Had too many seeds.
He's had too many seeds. He and his friend would go around to swap meets, and whatever to,
I got
to-
this one.
I got
you this
to
one.
sell
This
seeds,
one.
right? So pretty soon he had just way too many seeds. So when he was 17, he went to his parents and said, "Can I publish a little catalog?"
At 17 years old.
Mhm.
And what year would that have been?
That would have been in 1998.
98. Okay.
Can I publish a little catalog? And they said, yes, of course. And they produced a catalog that year. It had about 70 varieties of seeds that they were growing on the farm. His mother's hand-drawn illustrations in the pages. It was 12 pages, black and white. They sent it out to about 500 people, made enough money to build a little seed store and do it again the next year. That's how it began.
Oh, 500 people. Where did he find those 500 people? How did he know where to send it?
Well, his fellow Seed Savers through Seed Savers Exchange,
Okay.
friends, family members around the country. So yeah.
What an organic story.
Yeah.
And this is where it
Mhm.
ends. We say, and the rest is history, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about the 1998 was that first catalog. Today, I brought in my old, 2025 catalog. Talk about that growth and expansion. Did it happen really nice and slow and organic at first, or was it just like bam?
Well, that first year, Jere could pretty much handle everything himself,
Mhm.
even the second year. And then came Y2K.
Mm-hmm.
When people were really worried about the possibility of global disruptions in supply chains because of the potential for the computer glitch, this worldwide computer outage. And in times of stress and difficulty, tend to see people get very, very interested in gardening and where their food is going to come from. And so that really supercharged the seed business and supercharged Baker Creek's business. From there, it was really off and running.
That's fantastic. I think we can all think back to where we were that 1990 New Year's Eve, 1999.
I remember. I was in the newsroom.
Yeah, well, I was a freshman in high school, and didn't really have any fears or worries about it. It's like, out of sight, out of mind, too young to really actually thinking it was going to affect me. But I definitely wasn't thinking about food and building a brand like he was. And so, think from 1998 to now, it started out as a seed catalog. When did it grow to something on site? When was he inviting visitors to Mansfield?
It's so interesting that you would say that. I would like to go back and revisit that a little bit. I don't think that all Jere really ever wanted to do was have a little business that he could support himself so that he could continue to look for seeds and share seeds. And I don't think he ever had in mind that what he started would become this global business.
A movement in
Like, right.
itself.
And no, and he was coming at it from this place of passion. He was just simply following his joy.
Do you have any knowledge of like that first seed? What was his most popular seed in 1998? What were people purchasing? To me, when I didn't know of anything outside of an heirloom tomato until the last 10 years.
It may have been a tomato. It
Oh.
may have been, I'm guessing was probably a bean. What do you think, Sandra?
I'm gonna say probably a tomato.
Tomato. That was, I remember like growing up, we didn't talk about heirloom seeds. I mean, we had a small backyard garden on the farm, but we also had the grocery store,
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you talked about Y2K and that expansion. So, I'll kind of flip over to, that mission that I think he innately had in him, at 17, but how it became into a business, preserving seeds and building community. And there is no stronger word to me than community outside of like love and my faith and my family. Community is so diverse and so strong. What has community meant to Baker Creek starting off back in 1998?
Well, I think that idea of building community around these principles of self-sufficiency
Mm-hmm.
and health, and care for the environment, um, and preservation, of these historic seeds uh, and growing them into the future. That's really been in the DNA of the company all along. And it, without developing that sense of community and nurturing it, I just simply don't think Baker Creek would be what it is. Um, Jere started doing festivals at the farm in, I think, the year 2000 or maybe 2001.
Oh,
And
really
in
close to the beginning. I
Mhm,
mean, he was hardly out of
oh,
high
yeah,
school.
that's right. And in the beginning, they were just really informal affairs on Sunday afternoons, and people would bring plants, and people would bring things to sell, and there was music, and that because he just really did want to bring
Mhm.
people together around these amazing varieties.
So, go back a little bit. What brought his family to the Ozarks?
Um, I think they were homesteading family,
Mm-hmm.
and so they were looking for space in a more moderate climate
Mm-hmm.
than Montana.
We try to have all 4 seasons. They don't all.
Some are shorter, some are long.
Some are shorter, some are longer, depending on the year here. So, kind of bringing you in, Andrew, you joined the team in 2018. Also, started off as just low man on the low man on the totem pole as a little gardener.
Yep.
What were your roles those first months, years?
When I first started, we didn't really have that many greenhouses. We still had pretty nice sized gardens and display areas like in the village and stuff. So it's really just maintaining those spaces, getting seeds ready at the right time, transplanting them at the right time, keeping the places weeded and things like that, or practice many organic methods out there. And so we don't spray for weeds and things. So a lot of it's manual work. So there's always something to do.
So, as a young man at that time, what did you come? Are you from the Ozarks? Did you research and choose to move here for the job? How did you land here?
Well, I'm originally from North Carolina,
Okay.
and I was working on some farms in California, in
Mhm.
Sebastopol, and I went to my first Heirloom Expo,
Oh, when I was over there.
and it was in California, and I had the chance to be a part of that little event, working like the rare seed exhibit, and get to meet Jer and some of the other employees there. And it wasn't a few years later, that I decided to move to the Ozarks, and I just reached out to the general manager and said, "Hey, I'm here. I'd love to come work with you guys," and made all the right connections, and here I am.
Here. Well, welcome to the Ozarks. You've
Yeah.
been here a while. You know your way around.
Yeah.
I want you both to kind of share and fill in the gaps about your customer base because, you know, gardeners is a term, it's a word, but it's so diverse.
Totally.
Novice, expert, generational, you name it. So, um, define what I mean, is it all of them? Like when you, if any type, because like I love this magazine, this catalog because it's beautiful and I have envy, but it's scary, it's intimidating. So identifying your customer base is my question after I ramble.
Mm. That's a great question and not an easy question to answer. Um, I hope that you have some insight on that, Andrew.
Yeah, as you know, there's all kinds of different gardeners, right? You have the hobby gardener that just wants to try something new, maybe a little pot, maybe a little garden bed, and then you've got the more enthusiast ones that want to go big or go home and try to grow as much food as you can, like a homesteader. There's young ones, there's old ones. It's really diverse.
So when you think of the next label I'm putting on there is homesteader. You know, you talked about Jared's family choosing to come to Southwest Missouri because they wanted poor climates or poor seasons, a more moderate climate. Um, when I think of homesteader, I'm reading my well, you guys are familiar with this, Little House on the Prairie. I am reading my 6-year-old all the Laura Ingalls books right now, and we are on the we just finished on the banks of Plum Creek. When I think homesteaders, I think of the days on the prairie. What is that modern day homesteader to you guys?
Mm.
It's different. I mean, a lot of homesteaders still have to have outside farm work.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
so, to me, a homesteader is still trying to produce what you consume, at least as much as you can. And sometimes when we're lucky enough, it can become a career. So sometimes that's the end goal for these homesteaders is to be able to stay home and work the land.
Well, farmers traditionally, I mean, like I've multi-generational farmer. But I'm going back at least three generations before I can say that they're full-time farmers. We've all worked off the farm.
Hmm.
Some because we want to, but
Yeah.
because to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And so farming's not easy. Homesteading is not easy. When you're talking with those gardeners and homesteaders, do you feel like the end goal is the same?
I think it's similar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the goal of self-sufficiency is really important to people. Like
Mhm.
feeling as though you have a real stake in your own future. And so I do think that homesteaders of all stripes, whether they're urban homesteaders, small scale homesteaders, um, people who are just getting started, people who are really established, they're all part of our customer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like we really want to emphasize inspiration too. From the first time gardener that doesn't really know what to grow, where to grow it, how to grow it, and give them varieties they might not see in the grocery store. And then providing long trialed, nutritionally old school varieties and also new school varieties um, that can become a mainstay in their gardens. And as a homesteader, part of being self sufficient is being able to save your own seeds. And we specialize in heirloom and open pollinated varieties that you can save your own seed from and have your own little stash for the future.
Well, let's dive into some definitions. Okay, you put an English teacher hat on. How Andrew do you define an heirloom?
Well, an heirloom is just like more or less an age of a variety. So an heirloom that's been passed down through the generations, it usually defines at least 50 years old.
Okay.
So, but then open pollinated varieties are sometimes newer varieties that are beyond the F1 generation. A lot of the grocery store produce that you see is an F1 hybrid. So when you try and take that sweet bell pepper that you bought and save your own seed, and it was a red, but then I planted it back out and I got green, and then there was an orange, and then there was a yellow. I don't know what's going on here. So the heirlooms and open pollinated varieties give you consistency through the seed saving process.
Well, I know that terminology because that is the same as animal genetics, and I know
Correct.
I know livestock much better than I know growing fruits and vegetables and flowers. So I'm fascinated with the history of the research. So take me through um, how. I mean, going back to the beginning, but I'm talking today on the farm. What are you researching? What's the methodology behind it?
Well, we get the opportunity and the awesome privilege to grow out our entire collection every year. So right now, I think in the 2026 catalog, we have 1,300 varieties that we offer, flowers, vegetables, fruits. Um, and then on top of that, we have a trial program that we get to bring in anywhere from 5,000 to 1,000 more, or 500 to 1,000 more varieties. Um, and so the farm is just diverse. Most people only grow one or two varieties of tomatoes, their favorite slicer, their favorite canner, and a cherry maybe. I think last year we grew around 250 varieties, and this year it's going to be about the same, possibly more. We might be trialing a collection from a friend, and hopefully that comes through.
Wow. So, what you talk about trials? What has been some unsuccessful trials? What has not worked?
Well, we trial things from all over the world, and sometimes our season isn't long enough. So that's why we've
Even in a
expanded.
greenhouse, even in that mimicked
Yeah, yeah.
climate.
And sometimes things come from other parts of the world where it normally wants to produce, and in its summer is our winter. So we might not have the warmth or the day length intensity. So sometimes the trials don't really work for our area. So that's a little bit of the research side. See if it's something that the owner really likes and wants to offer to the rest of the gardening community.
hmm let's talk about nutrition. I mean, when we think fruits and vegetables, I think health,
Mm,
you know,
yeah.
and I think that as gardeners, as homesteaders, that's underlying. That's part of what they're seeking is not just to know where their food comes from, but to know that it's nutritional. So you always have nutritional evaluations.
We have done some limited nutritional evaluation of
hmm
heirloom varieties. Um, One thing I'll note is that it takes a large sample size,
hmm
um, and we've just really started to scratch the surface. But I will say that that is an area of study that's become a lot more interesting, and there's some really interesting work going on around it now in various places around the country. So I think we'll start to see more of a body of research that will help us understand the particular nutrient density of heirlooms and open pollinated varieties compared to a typical grocery store varieties going forward. And I also think, and Andrew, I think you can speak to this too, is that there's certainly some impact that the growing conditions have an effect on the nutritional density of
Yeah,
a particular thing.
yeah, of course. Um, Historically, heirlooms have been known to be more nutritionally dense, and the modern day produce is a lot of it are hybrids, and it's really great for market production, consistency, color, shape, size, great for shipping. A lot of hybrids have been bred for disease resistance and things like that, which are very important in our modern agriculture world. But heirlooms have been known to be nutriently dense than some of the store stuff, and whether you grow conventionally or organically, we have found that the emphasis on soil nutrition is giving us more nutriently dense produce and higher quality.
Yeah. I didn't even write down soil quality as one of my questions. Let's hit that. And well, no, I'm gonna bring that up when we're talking about the garden prep and what we should be doing now because it all starts down there. That's where the nutrients are to go into that plant. Um, so kind of bringing it back to what you guys are doing in Mansfield, but you're beyond, the Ozarks. Take me through some of the other facilities and what's taking place across the country.
Oh, okay. Um, well, there are several things. We have two retail operations that sell Baker Creek seeds, one on the West Coast in Petaluma, California, one on the East Coast in Wethersfield, Connecticut. But beyond that, we work with growers and seed producers all over the country, and in fact, all over the world.
Mm.
Some of them are contract growers for us. They are doing production um, of seeds that are rare, hard to find, not commercially available. We have a grower in Chile. We have we have an operation in Jamaica that's not just seed production, but it's also trial growing and also um, customer service. So we have a very big operation there. We have a team working in Japan to to build relationships, to acquire seeds, to work with plant breeders, to discover and bring exciting, wonderful new varieties to our customers. We work with a group of uh, farmers in Kenya who are beginning to do some seed production for us right now. And that's very exciting to us. We work with a seed producer in Ghana. Uh, And so we have relationships. Oh, and there's a seed hunter in India. I mean, we have relationships.
I love Seed Hunter.
We have
Actually,
we have relationships all over the place.
literally all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jere was a seed hunter early on. That's where he got the chance to travel with his family early and go and find some of these rare varieties that you're only going to see in obscure farmers market in this corner of the world. So
It's really cool. You got to admit, it's really cool.
yeah.
It is. I'm just like I'm sitting here daydreaming about side note, I want to retire now. And I'd like everybody, right? I want to retire and just garden. And I know that I grew up in my grandparents' gardens. All my great grandparents had huge gardens because everybody in the country did. I mean, everything. Growing up small, hobby. Always had tomatoes. Always had cucumbers. I have tried to grow things, but then I'm gone and no one waters them, or just something happens and summers are crazy. But so when I retire, I want to be a master gardener. I want to be a seed hunter. I want to like all those crazy things. So it's like me daydreaming of all the things someday when I retire that I can grow. Hopefully, maybe someone needs to hold me accountable because my husband thinks I'll never get it done.
No, it's just today. I wanted to ask you about this actually. Just today, I was reading about this thing called chaos gardening. Do you know about chaos gardening?
That sounds
I'm
like
okay.
me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, baby.
Can't-
Chaos. Totally.
I think chaos gardening might be for you, Jamie.
Yeah, I think
Google it. It's a
Yeah.
thing.
I will. I will do that.
Yeah.
Chaos gardening.
Chaos gardening. It's a thing. It's
think-
I think it might be your thing.
I love it because it's part of it's not eating it. It's more about like, can I do it? Can I make it grow?
Yeah.
Can I keep it alive?
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to be a master of it all. I mean, when we grow, 2,000 plus different flowers and vegetables, some things work, some things don't.
Mhm.
Weather, the heater died, the irrigation timer didn't work. So it happens. And that's part of the chaos and trying to find your little niche, what works, what you like, what you don't like. I think that's the main takeaway every season for us is what worked,
Mhm.
what didn't work, and how can we change, like we move forward.
Well, I've kept an orchid alive for 2 years,
That's pretty good.
and
Really good.
I'm going to call that a win.
Yeah.
So I hope, unless I jinx myself. Let's talk about you mentioned the store in Mansfield, but you call it the village. It literally, when you walk on exit the parking lot and walk across, you just feel like you're stepping back in time. What was the vision for that?
Oh, I can tell this story. So, after Jere and Emily got married in 2006, I believe, they didn't have kids yet.
Mhm.
They had some time on their hands. They like to travel. They like to do things. And they loved going to Branson to
Who doesn't?
yeah. And I always forget the name of it.
Silver dollar.
Silver Dollar
They-
City?
They loved going to Silver Dollar City.
Yeah.
And so they had this idea to create a little built environment at the farm. And so they, piece by piece, they built this pioneer village.
Mhm.
And it's really like, it's built to look like an
It's
old
like a stage.
like an old-timey
Yeah.
pioneer village. It was fun for the festivals.
Yeah.
It was fun for visitors. They took a trip to Italy and fell in love with the piazzas. And so they came back and built a tile garden in the middle of the village,
Mhm.
which is
At
now
the square.
our centerpiece garden. I mean,
Yeah.
It's the main
it's
entry to Slovak
some-
area.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and
The tulips. That's where the tulips are.
Yeah.
that's where the tulips
Some
are.
of them.
Some of them. That's what
They-
I remember.
Yeah, this
going-
year and last year we have a new tulip garden because we wanted to grow more tulips.
Uh-huh.
You can only fit so many in that one space, so we dug up a pretty big little spot by one of our cabin, called the cabin garden. And this last year and this year, there's around 50,000 tulips just in that one area, and there's another like 10,000 or so plus up in the village.
Wow.
Yeah. But the thing about the village garden is that it's just like this ever evolving wonderland of incredible plants. There are 96 individual plots.
Yeah, little beds.
Yeah, little like 4x4
Mhm.
beds. And it's just planted with this incredible diversity. We think that the Baker Creek Farm is the most biodiverse privately held farm in Missouri and
Oh,
perhaps even the Midwest.
I would say hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah. The store.
Hmm.
You can walk in there, and of course, you can buy over 1,000 varieties of seeds.
Mm.
But so much more. It's kind of like a little, part museum, part mercantile.
Hmm. Yeah, we've got also a greenhouse attached to the back now. So that is where we'll have like spring plant
You can
starts.
buy the live.
Yeah.
That's what I
Well,
need to do is.
we used to not sell tomato plants
Uh-huh.
of what we sell in seed form. And so now we have the May Spring Planting Festival,
Huh?
and there's a lot of vendors that bring lots of plants to sell, and some of them sell our varieties. So in May, sometimes we bring that down, but in April and then through the rest of the months, we're going to stock that space with some of those varieties because somebody might not be the best at germinating tomatoes or hot peppers, and they
Germinate.
only want one,
Yeah.
or maybe two. I don't need a whole packet. I don't know what to do with the seeds. So education on that side, but also offering an opportunity to plug and play.
I talked my mom into ordering some seeds with me last year because I was ambitious, and I don't know, it was probably this time last year. It was probably a little later because our lettuce we put in was late. It was fine, but it was, anyways, I didn't get anything planted, and she ended up sending me what she had planted, and I have great intentions, but I'm gonna do better. My goal is to get something in the ground this year, but maybe I need to start with those little starters instead of from scratch.
Another cool thing about the seed store is it sort of like it reminds me in a way of like the old. You remember like going to the feed store,
Yeah.
the seed and
Uh,
feed, right? Everybody's around, kind of,
Well, and you can
swap
probably
stories.
that's
and
it.
tips.
Truthful, ask questions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's very much the vibe there too. So if you go in and you just want some advice,
Mhm.
there's somebody really smart there that's going to give you some good advice.
Yeah. Few people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have some silly, not silly, but um questions for the horticulturalist. What is um no, I'm going to come back to what does your day look like because I have the mindset of these crazy varieties. What is the craziest, most unique variety that has passed the trials and you're selling seeds of that?
I think it's sort of one of
Good.
the challenging things. Everybody's like, "What's your favorite tomato? What's your favorite pepper? What's your favorite water?" There's 200.
You're not going to
varieties
like
over
my
there.
questions.
Well, I mean, it's really hard to dial it in when you love it all. But there are some things that I prefer better than others. But there's some really cool things like the butterfly pea vines and the snail vine. Um, some of these other cucumbers that you might not see in the grocery store. Big, long ones, short, stubby ones. Yeah, the tomato varieties. We have every color under the sun. And the peppers, the hot peppers. I mean, so many people love hot peppers these days. Even if they don't want to eat them, they just want to grow them.
Well, they're beautiful.
I grew
It's
the world's
artwork.
hottest pepper. Yeah.
I mean,
And there's different colors and shapes and sizes. It's really unique. And that's what we love about the trial gardens is giving people an opportunity to see all these varieties in one place, kind of like a botanical garden. And now we have a few greenhouses that are turned into more of a perennial space where we have very unique trees that you might not see unless you're at a botanical garden. We've got a
and are
huge citrus
those
collection.
spaces open to the public to
Yeah,
see?
yeah. The
Okay.
the entire farm is open to the public. Maybe some areas you're not supposed to go, but you can come in anytime. You can schedule a tour. You can come to the seed store and be like, "Can I go walk around and check things out?" And they're like, "Have at it."
I love
And then they'll holler at one of us gardeners, and we can link up. And people want to ask questions and see how we do things. And "Oh, I've heard about your citrus trees. Come on, let's go check them out."
Wow. So, what would be the most unique vegetable, outside of our common cucumber, tomato, most unique vegetable variety? Or maybe not variety, vegetable period. I don't know how to ask the question.
Mm.
Because I look to the catalog, I'm like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, there's like weird eggplants that you've never seen before. Same with squash and watermelons. The melon varieties that are out there, like the one that's on that last year's cover, You don't see those in the grocery store. You see a honeydew, you see a cantaloupe, you see a red watermelon, maybe a yellow and orange every once in a while. But yeah, the fruit that we sell is really amazing and unique. It's kind of hard to pin it
Mhm.
down, which is the weirdest, which is the most different, but a
Well,
lot of them.
I'll take your word for it. Well, I don't even have to. I've seen it.
And that's what we emphasize with the catalog is showing like an opportunity for people to have a specimen like that in their garden to taste it themselves in their own backyard. And we have a great opportunity for people to try. And if it doesn't work out, reach out, try again.
Mm-hmm. So, it's early in 2026. So, what does your calendar year look like? What are you doing? I mean, you're not growing these year round, but the entire year is part of your growing season. So, what does your year look like month to month?
Yeah, like some farmers get to have the winter off
No,
and
no
relax.
farmer has the winter off. That's
Well, some farmers, right?
Calvin right now.
Yeah. So when I first started, we had 3 greenhouses. Um, propagation greenhouse and a tropical greenhouse where Jere had his first bananas and star fruit and dragon fruit and stuff like that. And over the last 8 years, we've built up to about 27 greenhouses.
Wow.
So that's kind of my love and passion is the greenhouse production, being able to do things early and later, what people call the shoulder seasons, and being able to grow year round. So we have heated houses, unheated houses, perennial houses, annual houses. We do focus on seasonal production, so we're really not trying to produce melons and cucumbers and peppers during the wintertime.
Mhm.
So it's a big push on the brassica families, the kale, cabbage, cauliflower, radishes, beets, cool weather loving stuff, lettuce, spinach, a lot of Asian greens do really well. So that's where the benefit of having these growing spaces that are protected allow us to get in early and grow later. And then the trials. So we're growing everything in the catalog at the right time of the year. But then I work with some of the other seed managers and myself. I get to look around from other seed companies, other gardeners and growers, and try to bring other varieties in to have this more and more diverse garden. Um, so some of those things have to get started early. Some things we can just direct sow right in the garden, like beans and some of these larger seed stuff, squash. You can just pop that seed right into the ground and make sure it stays wet enough to get it sprouted, and then it'll just take off. We have 3 seed houses right now. We started off with 1, and then the space grew and grew, so we needed to have more seed starting space to fill those areas up.
And what's the size? What by what are those?
Greenhouses?
Yeah.
We have 3, so they're about 30 by 70s. There's one that's a little bit shorter. That's like a 30 by 50, but we have about 3,000 square feet growing space for
Wow.
each of those houses. Yeah, almost.
So, that's winter months, spring, moving things.
Yep. So we're getting things started now for some of the greenhouses and like things like onions. We're doing onions right now. They take a long time to kind of get to a transplant size. Hot peppers take a long time too. So, and then we're doing it. We do multiple waves, successional planting, because we want to have production year round. So we're almost seed starting every week, so
Okay.
that when there's a week where things are coming out, we are replacing that
Mhm.
with something else. March is a big seed starting time to get ready for all the raised beds in the display garden up in the village. And then April and May is kind of that transition into transplanting, getting things hardened off outside, go from a protected greenhouse outside for a little bit, then maybe back in, and then outside for the rest of the season.
So as a let's say, we'll talk about me, like the crazy guy, the newbie. What would you recommend varieties to start with? And I guess I'm not saying like varieties of maybe varieties isn't the correct term. What vegetable should I start with? That's my goal, because some are much harder to grow than others.
Sure. Yeah. If you're somebody that has a more challenging time doing the seed starting inside. I don't have the right lights. I don't have heat mats and things like that. That's where it might be easier to try and get a hold of some plant starts. But I recommend, some of those larger seed varieties like beans, squash, sunflowers, cucumbers, those things you can just push right into the ground once you're clear of your last frost date, your garden's ready, cleaned up a little bit. You can start just pushing those into the ground. Make sure you label it because you could easily forget, what did I plant over there?
That would be my luck.
Yeah.
Soil. I know. So in college, my Dr. Fuqua, many listeners would probably remember Dr. Ben Fuqua. He was my soil instructor at Missouri State. Dirt is what is under your fingernails. Soil is what we use to grow, and that might have been the only thing I remember from that class. But soil health is very important. Raised bed or in the ground.
It is
Dealer's choice.
dealer's choice, totally.
Okay.
As I'm getting older, I love having the growing space higher and higher, Spend a lot of time on my hands and knees,
Yeah.
and it'll just get more and more challenging. So raised beds are great if you have the space, if you have the resources to do that. But obviously, raised beds, you need to have stuff to fill it with. So a good source of topsoil, some compost, maybe some manure. Whether you make your own compost or you're bringing it in, you're going to need some material to fill that up. And when we're doing in-ground production, we try to do cover crops during the wintertime.
Okay.
So we don't want to just clear the field, leave it barren, and the rain and the snow will wash away all that healthy topsoil. So we put in some winter rye, maybe some
Same thing we do in
legumes.
fields. Yeah.
So we want to protect that soil because the soil's alive, the dirt. We start our seeds in dirt because it's a soilless medium, potting mix, something like that. And then the soil, we really want to encourage microbial life, diversity, less tillage. Sometimes you got to get that cover crop reincorporated. But the less you till, the higher, the longer that microbial life is going to be present.
Um, I wrote down best advice. That's too broad. But I want to, narrow it down to our growing season here in Southwest Missouri in the Ozarks. That middle of the skill level gardener producer. What is the best advice you can give them if they've just done? I mean, because you can go to Walmart and Lowe's and buy seeds off the shelf.
Sure, and
But what if they're ready to go into and plants, and that's what's easiest, but they're ready to set their foot into something different, to open pollinators, to heirlooms.
Well, it's really easy to open up that catalog and you want it. You want it all. That looks awesome.
do.
That looks awesome. Start small, It's really easy to get over carried away and you start to have too much to handle and things slip through the cracks and everything. So pick a couple of beans that you like, a couple of squash that you like. Try it more than once. Try it in the beginning of the year. Sometimes you can get in early with squash and the squash bugs don't get to you. Or sometimes you can do squash later, like your winter squash, and the bugs might not get to it as much. So don't give up. Try it more than once. Just keep going, keep growing.
So I know that you have a free catalog and then more of an in-depth catalog where you have stories and recipes and more gardening education. But everything else is also online at rareseeds.com.
Yes, everything that you can, every seed we offer is on our website, rareseeds.com. The whole seed catalog is our complete collection of everything we offer. The free seed catalog, called the Rare Seed Catalog, is sort of a digest of our most popular varieties. So if you want the whole enchilada, you got to get the whole seed catalog.
Well, we can't talk about the catalog without talking about the photography and the catalog. I mean, this thing is a work of art. And as a creative myself, I mean, you guys have an in-house photographer?
We have 3 now, actually. But yes, all of this photography is shot in-house. And I would say that, Jere Gettle is more than our founder and our owner. He's really our creative director. So much of the creative direction that you see in our photography is he's leading that,
Mm-hmm.
but our photographers are carrying it out in exemplary fashion.
So what role does the Gettle family play today at Baker Creek?
The Gettles are very involved with the business day to day. They're very present. They
Mhm.
live on the site. That's their home, and so we see them every day. They're around and about. Jared's out in the gardens all hours of the day and sometimes night. You can always tell when he's been in the greenhouses because he leaves a little trail of leaves from things he's sampled as he's been walking through.
Yeah.
It's delightful. Yeah, really is.
That's a sweet story. As we wrap up, I think that like when we harvest our garden, we eat the tomato, we eat the cucumber, but in heirloom production, as heirloom seeds, that seed is the golden ticket. So how do I preserve those? How do I harvest the seeds?
Yeah, it changes from the different types of produce. Some stuff is harvested and processed wet, some of it's processed dry.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bell pepper, you can cut it open and just kind of pull off some of those seeds. Tomatoes, you kind of want to put those in a jar and you have a little fermenting process, and then you kind of wash it and dry it.
So are you educating visitors, customers on how to do that?
Totally. People come and they want to ask questions. They're more than welcome to. We try to answer as much as we can. Some people, when I give tours, it can go 30 minutes, and I've done things upwards of an hour or longer just because there are so many questions.
Mm-hmm. Because stepping into this type of preservation and seed sharing and all that is a different level of care, because we're not just consuming the food, we are preserving it for that next season, that next generation.
Yeah, and every time you save your own seed, it gets more and more adapted to your own little slice. It's acclimated to your microclimate. So
Interesting.
your garden, even though we live not far from each other,
Yeah.
our gardens can be slightly different.
Mhm.
I live, 10 or 15 minutes from the farm, and it can be, especially during the wintertime, I could leave my house and it's 35 degrees, and I can come to work and it's 28 degrees
Mhm.
and freezing.
Mm.
So microclimates play a big role in adapting seeds to your own little garden and space.
Well, as we wrap up our conversation, let's talk about, you have two festivals coming up this spring, one in the fall. Tell me about those real fast, and then where can we go to learn more about everything happening there?
So our first festival of the year is the Spring Flower Festival. It's
Mhm.
April 12th and 13th. And then that is quickly followed by the Spring Planting Festival on May 3rd and 4th. And then the National Heirloom Exposition on September 27th and 28th. And you can find out everything you need to know about all of these festivals, including the speakers and some of the events, by going to our website, which is rareseeds.com.
Well, Michelle, Andrew, thank you for letting us go beyond the gate at Baker Creek Seed Company in Mansfield, Missouri. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Beyond the Gates. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. New episodes drop every other Wednesday. For more content, follow Around the Ozarks and Beyond the Gate on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to the daily newsletter at aroundtheozarks.com. Join us next time for more stories of grit, growth, and the spirit of rural life.